Hello, everyone. This video is being recorded on April 17th. I'm actually partway into this experiment that I'm about to tell you about. This video actually will be posted to members and patrons before I actually release it publicly. But I do want to state on the record what my hypothesis and design is before any of the data is back. So the experiment technically started last week, Friday morning. And that was the first 5-day washout period. I had basically my baseline diet, which is, I want to say it's 4 hot dogs and 2 ounces of cheese at 10 a.m., 4 hard-boiled eggs and 4 ounces of cheese at 3 p.m., and 3 hard-boiled eggs and 4 ounces of cheese at 8 p.m. My apologies. It's a little late at night as I'm recording this, and it's been a long day. And you'll see why in a moment. So basically, I was planning to do that. Then after 5 days of that, eating exactly the same way all 5 days, I was then going to take a blood draw, which included a new test that I've never taken before. Actually, I have taken it before, but it was like a long time ago. But this is through a new lab. It's Boston Heart, and it's an OxLDL test, oxidized low-density lipoproteins. And the reason I'm doing this interventional change, the basic hypothesis is that I believe that it will generally tend to follow LDL particle count. And so I'm basically doing the protocol. I'm doing the first 5 days or baseline, and then I cut it exactly in half so that I was having 2 hot dogs and 1 ounce of cheese at 10 a.m. and then 2 eggs and 2 ounces of cheese at 3 p.m. and then 1.5 eggs and 2 ounces of cheese at 8 p.m. Did that for 8 days. And then today was where I was planning to do the double up. I was planning to have exactly double what the baseline diet is. And that's why I ran into problems, because sure enough, while I've definitely done the protocol and have like achieved 5,000 calories before, this was the very first time I was doing it with actual whole foods. Like it was, there's no liquid or refined fats, having just twice as many hot dogs, twice as many eggs, twice as much cheese is in fact really hard to do, which is usually what I tell people. That's the irony is, even for as much as I thought I was kind of prepped for this mentally and so forth, I've made this statement often that it's really easy to over consume or just consume a lot of calories through, like, say, a fat shake or a fat bomb, or lots and lots of butter with your steak or something along those lines. It's actually really hard to overconsume, like eggs, and I definitely ran into that today. I'll have to post pictures for it later, but I had just the pile of 8 hot dogs in that first meal and the cheese off to the side, and I did that one okay, but I'm pretty sure it's because after all I was calorically low up until today. But lunch, I mean, there was 8 ounces of cheese, half a pound of cheese on one side, and then 8, large hard-boiled eggs on the right side of the plate. And I was just meandering through it, and I ended up eating all but 2 of the eggs. And actually, I basically had to stop, even though I was like slowing down, taking breaks, etc. I stopped it there, and I realized I'd need to retool the experiment, which incidentally I'd even announced in advance, as like I did on Twitter, that this may be the one experiment where the last intervention phase may be too tough for me to do. So kind of sad about that. I really, obviously I like to be an overachiever, and particularly with my experiments, I really wanted to hit this one as designed, but just couldn't do it, couldn't hit double. And it could be that I could retool it to like 1.5 times the baseline, so it'd be 50% more. But that's where I needed to kind of weigh, all right, do I really want to go for the purity? And the purity was what I was originally aiming for, in that everything that I ate in the prior intervention phases was exactly what I was eating in the last intervention phase. Or could I kind of pass a little bit on purity and then just go ahead and add a different version, which is what I'm basically doing. I'm having like the keto chow shakes, because I can consume them a lot more. Of course, Siobhan, by the way, has really proved this with one of her own experiments. She was able to get to really super high levels by having keto shakes. So yes, basically I'm retooling it to where it will still contain probably, I want to say like 2/3 of the calories are going to be through real food sources, but I'm going to have keto shake to kind of finish it off. And then I may change a little bit of the composition of a per meal basis, but I do still want to sort of synchronize it like tomorrow, preferably with whatever that meal plan is going to be. And I'll be taking one more blood draw with one more oxidized LDL test on Monday morning. And so that's the hypothesis, the design, and of course the amendment, which I'm doing as of today. I do want to add one other thing. It's been interesting to get this test because in order for me to get this test, I have to have the phlebotomy separately. It's a real pain in the butt. I have to get the oxidized LDL tube taken on its own from a phlebotomist who can then spin it for me. And then separately, I'm getting all the usual blood tests I usually get with LabCorp because I want to have those coupled together in the same data set so I can compare, obviously LDL particle count going up and down and see how that compares to the oxidized LDL and how much or how little it's influenced by that. So we'll see, but it's made each of the the 3 different blood draws that I'm doing really logistically a pain in the butt, especially because I want to get those baseline metrics too at the point of the intervention changeover. So I'm getting, all of the tests that I want to get from my own equipment in the morning on top of, I now have a 3D scanner, 3D body scanner, which I'm using as well. Obviously good to do if I'm capturing, a calorically poor 5 days. How much does that really make a difference to my body? And then how much will it make a difference when I add up the 4,000 or 5,000 calories for the 5 days on the last part of the intervention? Anyway, really interesting experiment, but it has been a challenge to execute, especially coming into today, and especially due to the fact that there's so much preparation I'm doing on this this risk presentation that's coming up next week with Salt Lake. It's really going to be big. It's some really juicy stuff is up ahead. I'll just say that. So anyway, I hope you guys are all having a great week, and I'm sure I'll see you again on the next update.